And in today's business matters, Chevron's confidence is manifesting as $2 billion in Hess stock. Chevron Corp has revealed that it has bought nearly 5% of Hess Corp. The Houston-based oil company said the purchase reflects Chevron's continued confidence in the pending acquisition of Hess. In 2023, Chevron agreed to buy Hess for $53 billion, gaining access to Guyana's oil-rich Stabroek block. The merger has cleared the FTC's antitrust review, but ExxonMobil is challenging the deal, claiming it has a right of first refusal over Hess's Guyana stake. The case is said to be heard in May. PepsiCo will popping some bubbly over its Poppy deal. The snack and drink company is buying the popular prebiotic soda brand for nearly $2 billion. This will expand PepsiCo into the healthier soda category as demand dips for the company's traditional drinks and snacks. Young Americans are increasingly turning to healthier drinks as part of a broader fitness and lifestyle shift. Pepsi is anticipating $300 million in cash tax benefits, making the net purchase price of Poppy $1.65 billion. The deal still needs to be approved by regulators. A price tag is being put on clothing brand Guess. The apparel company says it received a proposal to take it private from WHP Global, the same company that owns Toys R Us and fashion labels like Anne Klein and Vera Wang. WHP Global has offered to buy Guess outstanding shares for $13 each. This would exclude shares owned by co-founders Paul and Maurice Marciano and CEO Carlos Alberni. Data from LSEG shows 3 owns roughly 43% of the company. Guess said it has formed a special committee to evaluate the privatization proposal. It noted, though, that there's no guarantee the deal will happen. Despite measures to prop up China's property market, the sector continues to struggle. Official data released today showed declines last month in prices, investment sales, and new construction starts. Based on numbers from the National Bureau of Statistics, new home prices dipped in February after 2 months of relatively steady prices. Authorities in China have said that stabilizing the property market is a priority this year. Measures will include easing home buying restrictions and stimulating demand for housing upgrades. But the property market has added pressure from weakening consumer confidence and trade war fears. And 2 fintech companies have teamed up to win over Walmart from buy now, pay later leader Affirm. Swedish payment firm Klarna has partnered with consumer finance app OnePay to offer installment loans for purchases at Walmart. Klarna said the payment option will be directly integrated at Walmart checkouts this year. Customers will be able to choose from 3 to 36 months for repayments and manage loans directly on the OnePay app. Lender Affirm previously held the sought-after partnership. Its shares fell following the announcement. And tipping prompts now appearing at self-checkouts, coffee shops, and even convenience stores. How are consumers generally reacting to the growing number of tipping prompts? Earlier, I talked to Scott Baradella, and he's a branding and consumer trends expert for more on the situation. It seems to me like tipping prompts are appearing everywhere. That's including like self-checkouts, coffee shops, and even convenience stores. Some consumers, I imagine, feel they're being asked to tip everywhere they go. So how are they generally reacting to this growing number of tipping prompts?
Well, awkwardly, for the most part. I mean, it's something they don't like. There's a new survey out from a company called Wallet Hub that shows 90% of consumers don't like what's happened with the expansion of tipping expectations. And they're put in situations where they're face to face with the person who's basically asking them for a tip, handing them this tablet to select 20, 25, 50% tips or more on. And increasingly, they feel obligated to do it, and they're resentful about it.
Would you say, other than awkwardness, would you say there's a feeling of frustration, fatigue, or any other word associated with this constant tipping requests?
Yeah, I mean, definitely all of the above. This all started in about 2000, 18 when Square came about and you started to have these new ways of kind of paying through in kind of iPad-based payment where they could add in these kind of preset tipping options. And it's just exploded. And as you mentioned, even self-serve kiosks, places where it doesn't make any sense. And so we went from it's hairdressers and waiters and waitresses, hotel concierges, to everyone expects a tip now. And many people just they've retrenched and said, I just don't want to tip anymore. It's not fair.
You know, Scott, my understanding is that tipping has traditionally been as a way to reward service, right? So what is your view on being asked to tip in situations where no direct service is involved?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't, it's nonsensical is what it is. It doesn't make any sense. It's like a company saying, you want to give us some more money on top of what, we're charging you. It's kind of gone in this direction for a long time. It used to be, as you said, for extraordinary service, you would give a tip. But it's been for a long time in the fields where service businesses where tipping is common, like in a restaurant, the wait staff, you know that they're not paid very well. And so you feel bad. You want to give them 20%, even if it wasn't the best service in the world. So it's become obligatory in certain fields. You're the person who cuts your hair, things like that. That based on what they get paid, they're expecting that 20%. And so that kind of movement from it being for extraordinary service or very good service to just doing their jobs was already happening in a number of industries, but now it's just spread everywhere. And now it's just supplementing, jobs that are probably where people just aren't being paid enough. And so consumers are doing the jobs of the employers who really should be paying their people more. And I think that's what most consumers think today.
Well, Scott, you may be right about that. We'll just have to wait and see. Thank you very much for coming on today.
Thank you.
And U.S. retail sales rose just 0.2% in February after a sharp 1.2% drop in January. And this is signaling potential cautious consumer spending as economic uncertainty grows. While sales increased at grocery stores and online retailers, they fell at auto dealers, restaurants, and electronic stores. Economists expect consumer spending to be just slowing by 1 to 1.5% this quarter, raising concerns about tariffs, government spending cuts, and inflation are affecting all income levels, with major retailers like Walmart and Macy's reporting weaker outlooks. Despite steady hiring, some companies like Dollar General are expected to close 100 stores as financial pressures mount. President Trump said again last night that reciprocal tariffs on U.S. trade partners will take effect starting on April 2nd. Trump told reporters on board Air Force One that additional targeted tariffs will also be implemented. Trump has said he does not plan to offer exemptions from steel and aluminum tariffs. The administration's 25% tariffs on all aluminum and steel imported into the U.S. went into effect last week. Here's the president.
It's a liberation day for our country, because we're going to be getting back a lot of the wealth that we so foolishly gave up to other countries. It's going to be reciprocal. In other words, whatever they're charging, we're charging. Very simple. If they're charging us, we're charging them. Then in addition to that, on autos, on steel, on aluminum, we're going to have some additional tariffs.
Meanwhile, Belgian authorities are investigating Chinese telecom company Huawei for alleged bribery, forgery, and money laundering. The charges are linked to the company's lobbying efforts in Brussels. 15 members of the European Parliament may be implicated. NTD's international correspondent David Vivez reports from Paris.
Chinese telecommunications company Huawei has been banned from the European Parliament and the European Commission as Belgian authorities investigate the tech giant's lobbying activities in Brussels. Belgian prosecutors said the probe involves allegations of bribery, forgery and money laundering. As part of the probe, police raided 21 locations across Belgium and Portugal, including Huawei's Brussels lobbying office. Early reports indicate 15 current and former members of European Parliament may be implicated. Authorities say Huawei provided European officials with financial incentives, luxury gifts and all expense-paid trips to influence political decisions. The alleged misconduct reportedly occurred from 2021 to the present. Since 2019, Western countries have reduced the use of Huawei's 5G technology due to fears about security and spying from the Chinese firm. The EU Commission has distanced itself from Huawei since then. In 2023, it decided to stop contracting operators that use Chinese technology. In response to the investigation, Huawei said it takes the allegation seriously and has a zero-tolerance policy toward corruption. Regarding the current case, the Belgian court described a form of corruption that is played out very regularly and in great secrecy by the Chinese firm. Belgium Intelligence Services inquires now how China may be using its non-state actors, including senior lobbyists in Huawei's Brussels office, to advance the interests of the Chinese state and the Communist Party around the EU and NATO headquarters in Brussels. David Vives, NTD News, Paris.
The Department of Justice is looking to extend 2 deadlines in U.S. Steel and Nippon Steel's lawsuit against the Committee on Foreign Investment. The 2 companies in January jointly filed a lawsuit against the committee, which scrutinizes foreign investments for national security risk. The legal action came after the committee recommended that a merger between the companies be rejected on national security grounds. U.S. Steel and Nippon alleged that then-President Joe Biden prejudiced the committee's decision and violated the company's right to a fair review. The steel giants claimed that Biden did so to win the favor of the United Steelworkers Union in a bid for re-election. U.S. Steel is headquartered in the swing state of Pennsylvania. Forever 21 has filed for bankruptcy again. It's the second time the retailer's U.S. operating company has filed in the past 6 years. In its filing Sunday, the company cited increased competition from foreign retailers of fast fashion. It's been struggling in recent years to keep up with Chinese-owned retailers like Shein and Temu, specifically since online shopping boomed during the pandemic. Forever 21 said it will hold liquidation sales at its U.S. stores and is trying to find a buyer for some or all of its assets. Forever 21 first filed for bankruptcy in 2019, but was able to stay afloat after being purchased by investors. Will Smith is releasing his first full-length album in 20 years. The actor, who rose to fame as a rapper, teased the release with the single called Beautiful Scars, featuring Big Sean back in January. The track list includes collaborations with Tiana Taylor, Jack Ross, and Obgana, and his album Lost and Found, released in March 2025. News of the album release comes the same week he and his Fresh Prince of Bel-Air co-star Tiana Ali recreated an iconic scene from their hit TV series, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Okay, U.S. stocks rallied today for a second straight session, and this comes as investors sought bargains after the Nasdaq and S&P fell for 4 straight weeks and assessed the latest economic data to gauge the impact of the Trump administration's policies. Now, the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta adjusted its forecast for first quarter economic activity to show a 2.1% contraction. And this estimate is down from the earlier estimate on March 7th, which was a 1.6% contraction. So stocks have tumbled in recent weeks, with the S&P 500 dropping last week by more than 10% from its February record high. And over the weekend, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said in an interview that there are no guarantees when asked about a recession. And that's it on today's Business Matters.